Hi, one best U.S. Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. He's Mike Brenner. We're the Odds Couple, SportsbookReview.com, SBRodds.com. We're talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. We're going to talk about the Poinsettia Bowl right now, BYU and Wyoming. This one goes on the 21st, I believe. Okay. And BYU is a significant favorite here. This is an interesting one, Mike Brenner. At the end of the year, I did well taking Wyoming. I took Wyoming in both of their games against San Diego State, where they were a significant underdog. I took them in the first one, and then I took them again in the second one. Was a little bit nervous about taking them in the second one, but they cashed that one again. And Wyoming was great ATS at the end of the year. The only question is here, BYU is not the kind of team you want to be betting against. They only lost 3 times ATS the whole year. They had a great ATS record overall. I think they were 9-3 ATS overall. So, again, I like to look. I think Wyoming is undervalued this year, but I'm not sure I want to be betting against BYU, and BYU, based on their track record, based on their past performance, was also undervalued this year. So it's a tough one. You have any opinion on
what's
this one?
the line sitting at right now?
8.5. BYU minus 8.5.
Because last week, if I'm correct, Wyoming was getting 7. Yes, and you've had a really good read on that.
Well, I just thought that against San Diego State, they were undervalued. But
and there's another thing that's happened with BYU, and I'm anxious to hear what Joe's got to say. But ever since Ty Detmer took over as offensive coordinator for that team, they've started to really increase, and you see it week after week. They're starting to get more of that air attack. I kind of like BYU in this one. I think Wyoming's. I think it's going to be the talent will play the tail on the field that day. I like them early as well. I think I'm going to probably be putting out an official pick on first half with BYU. But before I do it, I want to hear what Big Joe's got to say about this game. All right,
Joe Duffy, Wyoming's been good as a dog this year against the spread. What's your take on this one? They're getting 8.5 against BYU.
Yeah, this is one of those cases where, look, BYU, they had the poor kid, Hills, had so many injuries. He's now out for this game. So I don't know if BYU is going to have as good of an air attack as they would with him in there, although, like I said, he's had his share of injuries over the years. Look, there's no question that Wyoming should be motivated for this game. They went 2-12 straight up last year. This is their first bowl since 2011. And that is the one thing that virtually every handicapper, every gambler agrees on, that you certainly have to handicap motivation. And if Wyoming is not more than motivated for this game, then no team will be, because this is a really big game for them. Now, most angles, and this is why I say I do so well in the bowls and so many people do poorly, there's so many myths out there. Most people believe go with the team that heads into the bowls hotter. Well, in reality, the time off is the worst thing that hot teams need, and it's the thing that cold teams need. Now, that angle would say to go with Wyoming, because colder teams are actually the better team to go with. But admittedly, this is one of the exceptions where essentially large favorites that are the hotter teams are actually a pretty solid 19-10, although most of the other angles that would apply here are counterintuitive. But look, I just think that Wyoming, because this is a big bowl game for them, a nice turnaround season, they're getting the points. They're going to be a little bit more motivated. So I think this is one of those, quote-unquote, intangibles that every handicapper agrees on, that I just think Wyoming will be more than motivated for this one, and they should keep it close.
All right, so Joe Duffy recommending a play on Wyoming plus 8.5. Does that sway you, Mike Brenner?
No, it doesn't, because Wyoming kind of was slow out of the gate last week as well. First half, I think BYU's going to bring it early. If they do get the cover, I think it'll be in the second half, so we can both win on this one. I'm going to pull the trigger on the first half with BYU, Pistol Pete.
Well, Wyoming actually covered their first half against San Diego State.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Game.
But they're slow in the first half.
Okay.
Even though it was against San Diego State, this is a different team. BYU's not San Diego State, I don't think, anyway. All right, I have a good feel on this. I think BYU comes out early.
So are you going to go official on it now, or are you going to wait?
I'm going official on it right now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Boise State, BYU first half.
Yep.
We'll give you the Pinnacle or Bookmaker opener. Which one do you want?
We're going to go with Bookmaker opener.
Okay, Bookmaker opener, and Joe Duffy recommending a play on Wyoming, getting 8.5. Joe Duffy's website is offshoreinsiders.com. He's been doing this successfully for a very long time. Tell us about that, Joe.
Since 1988 publicly, and we had another solid, not necessarily our best college football regular season, but another winning one, and the bowls have always been great, in part because of so many myths. We use counterintuitive angles that actually win, and just like, the one I just talked about, and that applies quite a few times anyway. offshoreinsiders.com for all your bowl winners.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.